Now, if you've got an armsy weak golf swing just like this, but you want to build a powerful, consistent rotational golf swing, just like this one here, we've clicked on the right video because I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to build a powerful and consistent rotational golf swing. So I'm Jonathan Chan with JChownGolf. Let's get right into it. Now, for us to build our rotational golf swing, it's not quite as simple as just physically trying to rotate more through the ball. There are certain things we need to do in the golf swing that help us rotate, that we absolutely have to hit a functional golf shot. So in this video, I'm going to get through 3 things you absolutely need to be able to build a rotational golf swing. So the first thing we need to build a rotational golf swing is having a square club face, and square to maybe even very slightly closed. Now let's explain why. Because when we rotate for a golf ball, we end up, as a byproduct, adding in shaft lean at impact. Shaft lean, with your hands being ahead of the golf ball, happens because of good rotation through the golf ball. So that's something a lot of you golfers are trying to get out there. But what shaft lean does, and why this is important, is because when you lean the shaft more forward, I'm very much exaggerating it, the club face opens up. So you can imagine, if I have an open club face coming in the downswing, which a lot of you golfers do have out there, for me then, if I rotate, club face is going to open up even more. Shaft lean adds and opens up the club face a little bit, which is then going to make you hit the ball way out to the right. So what your body's going to do, it's going to slow down its rotation. It will flip the hand to square it up. So let me swing with quite an open club face here, and I'll show you exactly what we mean. So from the slow down there, we can see body had to really slow itself down just to square up the club face. So like we said, we need a square or slightly closed, very slightly closed club face coming into impact. That's because we know shaft lean will open up the club face. We need to make room for the shaft lean. On a very extreme case, on the other end of the spectrum is Dustin Johnson, for example, with his quite strong grip, and he has a flex left wrist as well, very closed club face. Only way for Dustin Johnson to be able to square up that face is to rotate so hard and rotate a lot, way more than anyone else can really achieve, but that will square up his club face through shaft lean. So we don't need to do Dustin Johnson level of closing the face. We just need a little bit. Just to show you here, I'm going to really hit a shot with quite a closed club face address. I'm going to still try to hit the ball down right in front of me. And you're going to see how much I'm going to rotate to be able to get that club face squaring up. So we can see there, I really rotated way more than I did with that open club face. So let's do a drill here that will really help us get that club face into the right spot so we can rotate. So like we said, we either want the club face to be nicely square or even slightly closed, but we're going to go the square route here because it's easier for more golfers to do. So what we're going to do here, let's say we have a standard grip. So we're going to go on our takeaway move, and we're going to make sure that that club face is nice and square. So checkpoints here. I want my glove logo to be pointing slightly down towards the ground, and I want my club face to be slightly angled down, matching my spine angle for a square face. If that club face is too open, you're going to see the logo of the glove pointing up to the sky, and you're going to see that club face is massively open to my spine angle. So we're going to get to the takeaway, stop, look at the glove logo, yep, pointing down to the ground, club face is nicely square. Now I'm going to swing up and just rotate through that golf ball. And you're going to see there, because I'm stopping that club face in the takeaway, I'm making sure then that I've got that square club face, then I just maintain it and go through the swing and rotate. Most common thing we see with golfers, when they open up their club face, they're doing it very early in their golf swing. So if we can get the early part down, we're going to be much more successful in keeping our club face square. Now, the second thing we need to be able to rotate efficiently and build a rotational golf swing is depth at the top of the backswing to our hands. So what that is, depth at the top of the backswing is the relationship of my hands to my body. So the deeper I am at the top of the backswing with my hands, the more behind me they are, the less deep I am, the more on top of me they are. So why this matters, so let's say if we had a backswing where it wasn't too deep, it was quite a lack of depth, quite upright here, so really over my body with my hands. Now when we rotate in a downswing, our hands will naturally go out in front of us. Our hands follow where we rotate. For example, let me outstretch my hand and I'm going to rotate you're going to see how my hands are going to follow where I'm going. Same thing happens with a club in our hands. It will go and follow our rotation. So you can see when I don't have too much depth, the club will then go too far out to win. It will go too far out from my body. It will be kind of like an over-the-top golf swing. So if I continue to rotate through there, I'm going to hit a big slice. So let's show you here with my path. I'm going to have no depth up to the top of my backswing. I'm going to rotate. You're going to see the path go very, very out to in. So what we can see from that slow-mo, if I continued my rotation with that lack of depth, ooh, big slice is going to happen out there. So what my body will naturally try to do from there, it will stall out its rotation. Usually we see an early extending move for the body to slow down, because then that will cause your club to fall back on path again. So we can see how, one, if we continue to rotate, it'll be very detrimental, and two, your body will, well, a lot of players, that's why they early extend. Don't have enough depth at the top of the backswing, club goes out in front of them, they have to early extend at the end there. So what we need an adequate amount of hand depth. So we need these hands to be around about, as you can see, if I draw a line from here, you're going to see they're down around my ankles. I just want these hands being deep enough behind me. So you can see I've got a nice stretch behind me there. Think of a Rory McIlroy. So now when I turn down in my downswing, the club is going to fall on a nice path. It's now not going to fall in front of me, because like we said, hands will follow our rotation. They're doing the same thing as they did with the lack of depth, but they're not going so far out in front of me now. So you're going to see I'm really going to be enabled to continue to rotate, because the club is now going to stay on path and not be thrown out too far in front of me. So let's see one here. So as you can see there, I had enough depth at the top, and then I could just freely rotate through the golf ball. So to get that more depth at the top of the backswing with our hands, we need to do that by having a free rotational move in our backswing. Because like we said, when we freely rotate in the downswing, our hands will follow our rotation. They do the same thing in the backswing, just reverse. Because we're rotating away from the target, your hands will follow that rotation and get nicely deep. So that's the way how we can get the perfect amount of depth for us. It's just if we're rotating our body freely. So we want to make sure that we're making a good hip turn, good shoulder turn, and then getting up to the top of the backswing nicely. I'll put a tag up there for a good video on this subject. So free up your turn, you'll get that good depth. Hands will follow where you're going. So what we need to do for a drill wise, grab your golf bag, stand bag will be preferable, and now grab an alignment stick. Now what we do with this, we just, see how I've just balanced it up on the head of my driver, and it's coming out at kind of like a 45-degree angle here. So what I'm doing from here, I'm just putting a golf ball where it's halfway underneath this stick, and it's about just a hand's width or so outside my shoulder here. So if I now rotate freely in the backswing and turn, I'm gonna have no problem by missing the stick. But if I resist my turn and my hands go straight up, which we know would be detrimental to our rotation, see, I'm gonna hit that stick straight away. So we just wanna get that free turn, swing underneath this stick, and it'll be all good to go with a free rotational move and turn through that golf ball. So the third thing we need to do to be able to build a rotational golf swing is we need to be able to shallow the shaft in transition. So we just need that shaft shallowing a little bit, then we can rotate through that golf ball and we can see the path gets maintained nicely, and I'm going to have a good angle of attack, good club face control just through shallowing the shaft. My body will just rotate naturally, get on that golf ball. So what we see a lot of golfers do who struggle to rotate, they will be steepening that shaft in transition. So you're going to see here, if I try to steepen that shaft in transition, one, if I continue to rotate, my club's going to dive down into the ball. It's going to be very, very deep, steep divot, and I'm most likely going to cut across the shot, a slice shot. But what we see people do here, we'll see them come out of posture, early extend again, because you can see that early extension move gets the club to shallow a little bit, but too late. So let's do one slow-mo here, really trying to steepen that shaft. We're going to see, I'm not going to rotate that well at all. So as we can see from the slow-mo there, not a good swing at all. I just hardly rotated through that golf ball. I actually hit it very chunky and off the toe as well. That ball would have gone nowhere if this net wasn't here at all. So like we said, we want to be shallowing that golf club in the downswing. When we're shallowing it, we can then freely turn. So I'll show you here. I'm just going to have one little bit of shallowing in there, and you're going to see me turn way more from the slow-mo. So really, when we're looking at slow-mo there, way more shallowing, and I struck that ball really, really good actually. So to get yourself to shallow the shaft, there's a couple drills I really, really like. They're both quite simple, but really what we see most people when they will go and they will steepen the shaft will be generally because they are pulling too hard in transition with their hands. They're trying to start their downswing with their hands, gripping that club really tight, and when we do those two, club is going to steepen. So my first favorite drill for this is getting up to the top of the backswing and feeling one, really light and loose hands, and instead of pulling down, leave the hands up there whilst you rotate. You're going to see how the shaft really kind of exaggerates its real shallow move. I'm trying to leave the hands up there. You can see they won't be left up there because they're going to follow my rotation, but those loose hands is going to shallow that golf club. So a brilliant drill to really feel this is you get up to the top of your backswing with just the club in your lead hand. Now what you do, you get your right hand, put it on the butt end of the club. Now what we want to do, we want to put no pressure onto the butt end of this club as we turn our body into the downswing. So the first move, you're going to see putting no pressure onto my hand, trying to leave my hands up there, that club really shallows out quite a bit to where if I try to put a lot of pressure into my palm here, you're going to see that club will naturally steepen. So really feel those nice loose hands at the top and just rotate, leave them up there, and you're going to rotate a lot better. So if we've got those three things in place, we're going to be rotating a little bit better, that's for sure. We're going to then have an enabled free rotation. Like we said, it's just not as simple as just rotating through the golf ball. So once we have those areas in there, not every variable absolutely to be able to rotate. There are bits that are individual for a player, but if you're doing those, you'll be okay. So what we need to do after that is we need to really drill in the rotation. We can have all these variables in there, but we still might not be rotating because our body's not used to doing it. So let's do a rotation drill here. So what we do, my favorite one, preset rotation drill. So we get to set up, we preset our impact position. So we get our weight on our left side, we rotate the hips as much as we can, rotate the chest as much as we can. Now we get in a good side bended position here. So now what I need to do, I need to swing back and through, springing back through the shot. So you can see, once I'm doing that, you're going to see I'm really going to be rotating through that ball really, really well. And that's all about then getting in the repetitions, getting your body used to rotating when you've got these variables, and you're going to be rotating quite nicely. So again, weight on the left side, rotating the hips, rotating the chest, side bending down here with that right arm bent, swinging back, swinging through with a half swing. So guys, do those three variables there, get them in place, the club face, the depth, the shallowing, do that rotation drill as well, and you've got all those in place, you're going to be rotating a little bit better, that's for sure. So if you found this video helpful, click that like button, and if you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So do these and you'll be rotating a little bit better.